So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking a look at the most popular fragrance releases in 2020, so last year, and we're going to compare that to the most popular fragrance releases of this year. And at the end of the video, I'm just going to kind of tell you which year I think was better in terms of all the new stuff we got. And I'm getting my information from Fragrantica here, so if you go on their website, go to perfumes and then search, you can sort by popularity, and then you just type in the year that you're looking for. These are each ranked from 1 to 10, 1 being the most popular. So we have 20 fragrances in total that we're going to run through here, which means I'm going to move quickly, and I will provide links to each and every one of these down below, so you can jump in there and pick some up for yourself, and it makes it easier for you to just skip around if you don't want to watch through the whole thing. All right, let's start off with last year, 2020. Let's get it. So the number 10 most popular release was Gentleman Eau de Parfum Boisee. Really like this one. Big fan of it. Glad it made it into the top 10, and it just barely made it there. It's a nice sandalwood heavy scent. It's kind of musky, woody, creamy, very masculine. One that has a lot of mass appeal and really separates itself from everything else in the line. Number 9, we have Pasha de Cartier Parfum. So this one also is one that I'm a big fan of. Completely different than the original, which is more of an aromatic fougere scent. This one's a bit more boozy. It has fur, a bit of a creamy sandalwood also. Very masculine, very upscale, very classy. And number 8, a niche fragrance. And this is the only niche fragrance out of this entire video, so this one really did well for itself, which was very cool to see. Amouage Interlude Black Iris. I find myself reaching for, smelling, and wearing this one more than the original Interlude. It's smoky, it's woody, it's alluring, it has a bit of a dark edge to it. Very nice stuff. At number 7, we have Tom Ford Beau de Jour. So this is a new release, but it's not technically a new fragrance. This existed in the private blend originally. They discontinued that private blend and brought it back to the signature line, which is much more affordable. Big fan. If you're into aromatic fougères, if you're into barbershop scents, if you want something that's a bit more mature and masculine and traditional, you're going to love this stuff. It's a Tom Ford, so it has impeccable quality. At number 6, we have 1 Million Parfum. So this is one that I really didn't get along with all that much. Wasn't a huge fan of it. It just wasn't really for me. It's a much more floral take on the whole scent itself. It's not nearly as sweet and spicy and cinnamon heavy as the original. Just quite a bit of a different take here. I don't think it's bad. I think it's something that's different. It changes it up, but for me, I would choose a few other ones. Breaking into the top 5, we have Versace Eros Eau de Parfum. So they got this one out there pretty quick. They've really picked it up here with the flankers. They didn't put out a Eros flanker for a long time, and then they kind of kicked it off with Flame, and they've been going strong here. Eros EDP, in my opinion, definitely an improvement over the EDT. I think nowadays you would be better off with going with a flanker of Eros. It could be the EDP, it could be the Parfum, which we'll talk about in a second. It could be Flame. I think your money is better there versus going with the Eau de Toilette because of the reformulation, rumors, speculation, all of that stuff. The fact of the matter is you don't know what you're getting if you buy from a random discounter or even from a retailer. It could be a newer bottle, could be older. You don't know. Just take the guesswork out of it and get one of the flankers, in my opinion. Eros EDP, really well done. At number 4, we have a fragrance that I'm surprised isn't higher. It's shocking to me. It's Dior Homme 2020. So it definitely picked up a whole bunch of hype last year. I just thought it would have been higher up, like number 1, 2, 3, but I guess 4 isn't that far off either. SWY Super, Cashmere, Vetiver, just a very woody scent. It smells like the quintessential modern man. This is a great compliment getter, great mass pleaser, incredibly versatile. It's a fragrance that most guys out there are going to get along with and really enjoy. At number 3, I have a lot of love for this one. Actually, this top 3 here is really solid. L'Homme Ideal Extreme by Guerlain. One of their absolute all-time best fragrance releases. I mean, this stuff is so incredibly good. Tobacco, plum, almond in here. It's fruity, it's sweet, it's inviting. It's got this alluring sexiness about it, this different take on a masculine scent. It is really well done, and they knocked it out of the park here. If there's one L'Homme Ideal fragrance I would recommend you to pick up, it would be Extreme. I think the whole line is good. Cool, EDP, the EDT, they're great, but the Extreme is unbeatable. Fantastic release. This stuff is mind-blowing. And number 2, have a lot of love for this fragrance as well. ADG Profondo. So this one also really soared and did amazing, and I'm glad that it did. I'm happy to see this one doing well. I'm happy to see people loving it because I think it's one that does deserve it. It's a aquatic fragrance with this mineral smell overall. You get this nice orange in here up top. It's just completely different than what you would normally expect from an aquatic. So it's not boring in that sense. It's not uninspired. When you get into aquatics, a lot of times you'll run down that path. This one really does have its own magic, unique touch about it that I think makes it absolutely amazing. I wore it a ton last year in 2020. I wore it a ton this year in 2021 throughout the summer. Big fan of this stuff at number 2. And the number 1 most popular fragrance for 2020. Can you guess what it is? A little bit shocking, not a whole lot. If I had to guess and put this together myself, like if someone gave me these 10 fragrances and said, okay, these are the 10 most popular, put them in order, I probably would not have put this one at number 1. It probably would have looked much different than how this came out here. But again, I'm just going off of Fragrantica here. It just goes off of the popularity ratings and all that stuff. But is still a fragrance that I do love, so I'm cool with it. It's Male Le Parfum. Yeah, this made it number 1. It made it over Profondo. It made it over Dior Homme 2020. That's shocking to me. Now, I love this scent a lot. I think it's fantastic. I think this is what a flanker should be. I think a lot of other designer brands should take a look at this fragrance and realize, like, yo, this is how you do a flanker. Acqua di Gio Profondo, Guerlain Extreme, they nailed it on the head as well. But some other fragrances out there that are coming out, they don't do it as good as this. So this one is a hybrid between Ultra Male and the original Le Male with an oriental spicy twist thrown in. So you get some of that sweetness, you get some of that freshness from the original, all of that stuff. It's a great scent, very smooth, high quality, sexy. It's a nice date night, evening out fragrance. There's so much to say about this one that it's already been said by me, so you can watch other videos. I love it. Number 1 most popular release of 2020. So there's the 2020 lineup for last year, the most popular fragrances there. Very solid lineup. There are a lot of great fragrances in here, a lot of which have become some of my favorites. So we're going to run through this year's most popular fragrances, starting off at number 10 for 2021, most popular release, Invictus Victory. So I really like this one. So this one kind of flopped out a little bit, I feel. I don't think the hype built behind this one as much as I would have maybe thought. Now, I don't know if part of this was because of its release timing. I think it was earlier on in the year. You know, a lot of these started to roll out kind of towards the middle end of this year, and they were coming out so much that people were getting really hyped up. It was also, you know, moving into fourth quarter where people start getting a little bit loose with their pockets, with their wallet. They start spending more money because the holidays are coming up, and it's a lot easier to justify getting themselves a cologne if they're buying presents for everyone else. That's just how this works statistically. And so I think that was part of the success of some of these others. But earlier on in the year, and when people are recovering from the holiday spending and everything else, I think it's a little bit slower. So I think that's part of it, because I do think the scent itself is pretty unique. I think this one's really nice. I enjoy it. At number 9, we have Jean Paul Gaultier's Scandal. So this one has the caramel note, which is becoming the new thing. But I do enjoy this one, but I'm sure that I will enjoy the Eau de Parfum and the Parfum more. They set this one up perfectly. I talked about this in my first impressions or review, one of the two. Clear bottle, Eau de Toilette fragrance. They're going to put out an EDP. They're going to put out a Parfum. They're probably going to put out some limited editions. It's Jean Paul Gaultier. They are the king of flankers. We all know that. So I think they can really improve upon this going forward. I think they have themselves set up with a really nice base DNA here to build off of and make something better. All in all, as it stands right now, it's not bad, but definitely not one of my favorites, and I think I agree with the placement here and the popularity list. At number 8, we have Phantom by Paco Rabanne. Really not a fan. Another sweet, sweet fragrance that doesn't bring too much new to the table. Not that something has to bring something new to the table to smell good. It doesn't smell bad. I would just rather reach for something different, like Invictus Victory, like Jean Paul Gaultier's Scandal. This one, for me, just doesn't do it. So at number 7, a fragrance that I guess is somewhat understandable being ranked at this spot here, because It did come out towards the end of the year as well, but honestly, again, if I were to have been given all of these and I had to rank them myself, I probably would have put this one higher, just me guessing, but it is at number 7. That is the Most Wanted by Azzaro. Has toffee, it's got amberwood, it's got tonka bean, I believe is what it is. Just a standard 3-note, no breakdowns is what they give you. Another sweet fragrance. It's more gourmand compared to Azzaro Wanted by Night. It's a different take on the whole DNA, but it is really good, and it really comes in right behind Wanted by Night for me in terms of my favorites. So I like this one better than all of the other ones in the line, the original and tonic, that is. And again, it's almost tied up with Wanted by Night. I really like it. I'm surprised it's not higher up, but great release for sure. So at number 6, we have YSL Y Le Parfum. You guys know where I stand on this fragrance. You know all about it. Love this stuff. Absolutely adore this fragrance. It is so, so good. It's such a great improvement over the original DNA and the EDP and the live flanker. And I've said that a million times. I feel like I'm boring myself here saying this, but it has to be said. That's how I feel. It's just a great scent. Go ahead and spray it just because I enjoy it. It just takes that DNA and does magical things to it. I mean, it's such a versatile, wearable scent that is great in the compliment department, great in the performance department. I can't wait for spring and early summer to come around because this stuff is going to be on my skin 24/7. I'm going to be bathing in this stuff once it warms up. Not that it's that cold right now, but I'm in winter fragrance mode, or at least I'm trying to be. So I'm going to stash this one away, enjoy my winter fragrances while I can. But trust me, come spring and summertime, I'm all over this. Breaking into the top 5 most popular of the year. Make sure I got everything going on correctly. I do. This one is Stronger With You, Absolutely. So this one is a shock, and here's why. Because this is one of the only ones out of this lineup that is still hard to get in the United States from what I've seen. I still look often when I do these videos and talk about it to see if I can get you a link, and it's not nearly as available as all of the other ones here. So I don't know fully what's going on with that, unless I'm missing something. Maybe it's, you know, readily available from some website I don't know, or in stores in person or something. But from what I've seen, it just hasn't been all over the internet like really all of these other releases are now. Even stuff that came out after this one. This one came out earlier on in the year. It brings that chestnut note back. It's got that sweetness. It's another gourmand leaning scent. It has a bunch of vanilla, a little bit of a boozy rum. I love it. For me, it's my favorite flanker out of the entire lineup. Very well done. Another great improvement. Solid stuff. Just a bit harder to get. So at number 4, this is the only fragrance that I don't own anymore. I actually gave it away. And that's H24 by Hermes. I don't really care for it. It just didn't really do it for me. It's another woody scent. But it was just, I felt to be on the uninspiring side. It was a little bit boring for me. For me, it didn't work that well, so I gave it away to one of you guys. Now, I think in terms of a popularity ranking, that's probably about right, because it did get a lot of hype. So at number 4, yeah, that makes sense to me, but definitely wouldn't make it anywhere in my top 5, and if I was talking about my favorite releases. At number 3, for the most popular releases of 2021, Light Blue Forever by Dolce & Gabbana, ozonic notes, violet leaf, grapefruit. Missing the key note there, the grapefruit is what it's all about. Smells amazing. It's a little bit watery from the violet leaf, airy, ozonic, light from the ozonic notes. Smells absolutely divine. Picture you slicing into a fresh grapefruit in the summertime, sprinkling a little bit of sugar on that puppy, and eating it in the morning for breakfast along with a nice cup of coffee or tea or a glass of milk, whatever you prefer in the morning, and just enjoying that. That's what this one is all about. Actually, do people drink milk or coffee with a grapefruit? I don't think I've ever done that in my life, so maybe scratch that part out. A glass of water, drinking the grapefruit juice, I don't know. You get the idea. It smells like you're cutting into a grapefruit that is fresh and juicy and vibrant and tasty. I definitely understand this one being at number 3. It got a whole bunch of hype. I didn't make that any better. I've been talking about this one heavily. When it first came out, I was all over it. I wore this one a ton through the summertime. Big fan, and well-deserved. At number 2, this is going to get really obvious here. La Nuit de l'Homme Bleu Electrique. absolutely exquisite fragrance. It takes that original DNA and brings it back to life. And I'm talking like La Nuit de l'Homme from back in the day, some vintage batches. It brings that rich, spicy, almost like slightly burns your nose cardamom that you get. That's really what this one does. You can feel it when you inhale this stuff in your nose, that cardamom. It's spicy, it's powdery with the lavender. You can just feel it when you smell this one. It feels great, it smells great. And the newer bottles of La Nuit de l'Homme don't quite have that same delivery anymore. It's vintage La Nuit de l'Homme with a bit of a modern touch, a nice refresher here. And this, to me, is one of my highlights of the entire year. I think this is amazing because it rekindles that original love for La Nuit de l'Homme that started to go away as they have tweaked it. You know, for me, La Nuit de l'Homme was a fragrance that really got me heavily invested into this. It's a fragrance that's very special for me. If you're just getting into the community, this won't have the same impact on you, but anyone that's been around for a while and La Nuit de l'Homme really kind of made an impact or an imprint on you, you would appreciate Bleu Electrique a lot. Fantastic stuff, and I definitely agree with it being here at number 2. Very popular. So at number 1, of course, none other than Sauvage Elixir, the only one that hasn't been mentioned yet. This one's got licorice, sandalwood, lavender, all of that stuff. Smells great. You know, I had a change of pace on this one. The price is a tough pill to swallow. 155 big ones for a 60 ml bottle, I believe. I should know this because I play this game every time. Yeah, 60 ml. Still kind of hard to believe. That's steep. I mean, just think about that for a second. If they were to release this in a 100 ml bottle, you would be paying close to $300 for it. Probably you would be paying $300 by the time you pay tax and shipping. So, holy crap. That really sets it into perspective for you. But putting the price aside, this is a Sauvage flanker for people who don't like Sauvage. If the original and even the EDP is too metallic and strong for you, this one is by far going to be the most refined, the most mature, the most well-rounded, and one that is going to be more approachable for guys who are maybe a bit older. You don't want something youthful and blue and playful smelling. Great scent. Definitely no shock to see it here at number 1. Dior is a massive brand as it is, and with help from the community hyping this one up, it shot to the top. So now it gets to the point where I tell you which year I think was better. This is tough. This is really, really tough. I was actually dreading this part, but you know, here's the problem is last year, just going off of what's ranked right here, what I have on my table and I'm looking at, last year had a larger abundance of good releases. So this year we did have some stuff that for me kind of flopped out a little bit, like Phantom and even like Scandal Eau de Toilette, just talking about things that are sitting here right now. Those to me were a little bit underwhelming. Again, I think either of them could have potential in the future as flankers, but as I sit right now, not so much. So those from this year kind of knock some of the points off. Where when you look at last year, starting down at number 1098, they're all solid. Interlude Black Iris, Pasha de Cartier Parfum, Gentleman EDP Boisee, all really good ones. So when I take a look at the fragrances that really blew me away, at the end of the day, there's going to be more in this year's category. So we have Bleu Electrique, Light Blue Forever, we've got YSL Parfum, and Sauvage Elixir. Those right there were the key winners, the key takeaways for me this year. Whereas last year, the only ones that really blew me away to that similar level was the top 3 of last year, which was Le Parfum, Profondo, and Extreme. So just looking at that data, this year did win out. But let me tell you, this year and last year were huge for fragrance releases. I mean, a whole bunch of fantastic stuff came out in a relatively short amount of time. So that's where it is, guys. Again, it's tough. You know, it's really hard for me to do this stuff. I have a lot of love for a lot of fragrances, but that's kind of where it is. I'm looking forward to doing this next year. So we'll see how next year goes. We'll see what is out. And let me tell you, to do this video again next year, there's going to be a lot of competition. We got 4 fragrances just here that I really, really love. That'll be hard to compete with. I want to hear from you down below. Which year do you think had better releases overall? Again, I'm just going off of the top 10s of each. There are some releases on both years that weren't featured that were also really good. That could sway the results, but that's not what we're looking at. And I will provide links to all of these down below, so that way you can pick them up if you're interested. Thank you as always for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.